every significant event across all those maps that are in Zombie Chronicles, going into Black Ops 3 and all that, the multiverse and its interrelationship between all fractures and all main lines. Also, every group and every version of every group is also represented.
This must have taken.
And this is, if you look in the bottom corner, this was from, where is it? This is from the Kronorium. So,
oh my god.
Turns out that the Kronorium is in the basement of Treyarch. So maybe that'll appear in a map in the future.
We've just discovered yet another Black Ops 3 Zombies Easter egg in the ripe old year of 2025. The other day I posted a video about us finally solving the John D. book Cipher impossible Easter egg on the Eisendrache, and I didn't think I would be here just a few days later saying we solved yet another one. Anyways, following on from solving that Easter egg a couple weeks ago, I've been scripting a video on the original zombie story and the true beginnings of the cycle with the new context in mind, in between editing the solve a video for that. In undertaking that monumental effort, I had to understand the Kronorium more than anyone else, meticulously combing over the zombies timeline, trying to rectify all of the inconsistencies between the basic dimension timelines and the Agatha timeline, which is nearly impossible as the Agatha timeline doesn't even have dates, as it's outside of time. But in spite of the challenge, I've managed to crack the true story for the most part in exchange for my sanity, which you'll see in that video soon. I'm very proud of it. With that done, I then needed to try and work backwards from every single important event to determine what originally causes them. And I clearly looked at the timeline closer than anyone else, because it seems I've discovered a unique little Easter egg left by the developers. Just as Dr. Monty signed the timeline in-game canon, the out-of-game creators did too. Kronorium excerpt 102-3816-121016. A very long number, and after hours of staring at the image, it seemed almost out of place. Why was it such a big number? It's something I've been puzzled by for years. I always felt like it was holding a clue for something. Well, I have figured out exactly what. In the John D. Cipher solve, I discovered that Treyarch were fond of comparing numbers to letters and vice versa, which D was also fond of in real life. For example, that solve required us converting the letters A, E, the first, and fifth positions in the alphabet, aka 115. Well, it's the same case here, but in reverse. Instead, changing the numbers to letters in the excerpt reveals a hidden signature from 4 very proud Trek developers themselves. 10-2 in the alphabet is JB, aka the initials of Jason Blundell. 3-8 in the alphabet is CH, aka the initials of Craig Houston. 16-12 is PL in the alphabet, likely the initials of Peter Lamb. And finally, 10-16 is JP in the alphabet, likely the initials of Joseph Perluski. And if you happen to be watching this video, I do apologize if I just butchered your last name there. It would seem that we know the real-life authors behind the monumental effort that is the Zombies timeline. Joseph is known publicly to have collated all of the dates, referenced offhandedly by Blundell in an interview and credited to him on his LinkedIn. Joseph has credits dating far back into Zombies history, initially working at Treyarch as a receptionist and climbing the ranks until he wrote most of the Black Ops 3 and 4 intel, collated the info for the timeline, directed Alpha Omega, and again wrote most of the intel for Cold War before leaving for DICE to help with Battlefield. Meanwhile, Peter Lamb is an artist at Treyarch who has an even longer history, being at Treyarch back in the Spider-Man days. According to information on his website, he drew the iconic death cards from World at War, as well as much of the concept art from them, being lead concept artist at Treyarch. It's hard to say exactly what his role is with the timeline, but I'd bet given his artistic skills and high position, he was responsible for getting the structure and a look of the image together, whereas the other 3 were involved in the actual writing process. Of course, Jason Blundell and Craig Houston don't need much of an introduction really, as they were the main pioneers of the story at the time, and their achievements with zombies speak for themselves. Jason Blundell now heads up Dark Outlaw Games under Sony, and Craig Houston is still heading up the narrative department at Treyarch. Now, unlike the other Cipher solve, this one of course isn't anything crazy and is just a little developer nod, but a super neat find nevertheless. It's not hard to solve, the main trouble being just finding out who the developers are really, and I think this is so crazy because it's so obviously there and we've just completely ignored it. And I think this is a good example of how things can be lying there dormant for years appears in plain sight, and us, the community, just completely overlooks them, so it really makes me wonder how many other things are lying around in zombies maps like this that aren't even that difficult to solve. The community's interest in Black Ops 3 has really reignited lately, and I'm sure over the coming months a lot more is going to be found. And whilst it doesn't tell us anything insane, to me this gives more confirmation to the John D. Cipher solve being legitimate, as it shows a similar pattern used with converting letters to numbers and vice versa. Speaking of, I did affirm in the video that the way we got the message was different to how D did them, but that was likely because, like explained in the video, the methodology was only probably cracked in 2017. So I believe Blundell simply tried to emulate the hypothesized method with his own twist. Instead of the traditional triple tau, he just laid 3 T's as a reference to it to point us in the right direction and put padding or brackets around the message. This was not a traditional D cipher, just a little nod to point us in the right direction, with the T shape formed with the 115 and lettered 115, aka AAE, forming the closed bracket. And something I neglected to mention in the video is that we believe the red 115 that can be seen on the crate above next to the German military zombie manual book is just a clue to search for the 115 T-shape within the book's titles, helping us with the ordering and confirming that's where the sentence ends. And potentially there are different clues around each of the books, as the 2 universes from the Giant's hypercube that Sky pointed out can be seen displayed on the church monitor, showing the projector room where there's the alchemical framework of the Luminiferous Ether book. This book title goes right through near the middle of the T. These could have just been clues to the ordering of the books. And speaking of the Giant's blueprint, I've seen lots of people in the comments saying the hypercube has to surely tie into this, since it wasn't mentioned in my video at all. Well, I do actually have a video coming up explaining everything in the hypercube, and we've discovered some major things about it, and that should be going live probably sometime next week. It's going to blow your mind, and that'll probably explain literally everything about the hypercube, some major things we missed, and leaves no unanswered questions about it. Anyways, I will have another video a bit further down the line, probably in a couple weeks, about the early zombie cycle as well, so make sure you stay tuned because it's absolutely crazy. One of the biggest mysteries of the Ether story has been how the Giant and Zetsubo Noshima's radios make sense. With the new knowledge we've learned about Monty, it provides incredible clarity to their continuity, and this can also probably explain why Element 115 changes from orange to blue when Blundell took over.
Does the color of Element 115 change depending on which universe you are in?
Pass.
It's insane, so definitely stay tuned and be sure to check out my previous video on the John D. Cipher video if you haven't seen it already, as that's absolutely nuts as well. All 3 videos will be linked in the description once they're all live, but that's all I wanted to say for now. Show you this new cipher and give some clarity on the D cipher as well. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come. Bye.